Today. So, today is a good day because today is my birthday, and I'm terribly glad to be alive today. Thanking God to be able to do what I love. I get to do many things. I'm so blessed. I have overcome a lot of challenges to be here today, and I am a testament to God's faithfulness. I have scars that are of victory. So I'm truly blessed and I'm glad to be alive today. So it's with great joy I bring to you episode 104. So 104 falls on my birthday. I hope that somebody enjoys today's episode if you're joining me from anywhere. All right. So if you're joining my podcast for the first time, I I chose to do the Bible in 1 year, cover to cover. That is, read through the entire Bible so that I could get to know God for myself, to test the principles and the theories that are in the Bible, and to disregard what I think does not serve anymore. Yes, I know that that sounds weird to some people who are religious because they think everything in the Bible means you can do, but not everything in the Bible is serving. Some is warning, and some is admonition. Some are uh, okay. So let's not go into what I think may not serve. But if I see anything that doesn't serve, I would definitely say that. I share my interpretations, my lessons, and my insights with an audience so that I can be held accountable because I've done this more than once. And the first time I was successful, the second time I wasn't. So I decided to do this again, second and third times. So this is my fourth attempt. And I'm hoping that with an audience, I'll be held accountable. And that's what it's been. Even though I've had some challenges shooting 1 or 2 episodes, I will have to repeat them. Not necessarily because I didn't show up, but because maybe the network was acting up. So today, we're reading the book of. So every single day we do the Bible in 1 year, we go through 4 scriptures. They will cover the entire Bible at the end of the day. It's this Bible reading guide. It reads an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. Old Testament reading is we're currently in the book of Joshua 9 and 10, and we'll be ending Luke 16 and entering Luke 17. And then of course we have Psalm 83 and Proverbs 13:4. Yesterday, I got the feeling that maybe I should break up every episode into two. Do the Old Testament, post it, and then do the New Testament. I don't know what you think about it. If you think I should do that, please say something in the comments and let me know. That said, today we're looking at the book of Joshua 9 and 10. So you remember that Joshua has started conquering the promised land. He had conquered Jericho the day before. He had conquered Ai yesterday. And today he's now some people approached him. They were known as Gibeonites, and they pretended to be people who came from very far land. You know why? Because I think that they figured out that the Israelites were going to conquer the land, the whole Canaan, maybe the foothills, the western region, the Negev, the Mediterranean Sea. There was an area that the Israelites were supposed to settle in as their promised land. So there were seven towns or 7 countries in that place they were not supposed to negotiate with no matter what. Those people had to be eliminated, the sounds had to be sacked, and everything about them had to be. So I'm out in my garden today. My Sabi dog has decided to be, he's barking at the cleaner, the gardener. All right, so they were not supposed to go into treaty with any of those people. All of them were to be sacked completely. Then there were some towns or countries that were nearby that they could take. They were not required to eliminate the people as such. These people I think, were among the people that ought to have been eliminated. So once they heard the story of what happened to Jericho, the famous Jericho and the walls coming down, then the eye and all of that, they went into trickery mode. They decided to trick the Israelites. So they came with weathered saddlebags. They came with old. I'm not even here with my speaker. I'm not sure why. I can't even explain what that loud sound is. I hope you can hear me. Hi. Hi, Faith. Thank you for joining me today. Glad to see you here. Okay, so they came with ragged clothes. They looked worn out, past wineskin, mold, bread in mold, all of that stuff. I'm from Nigeria. I'm doing this from Nigeria. Yes. So I was distracted. So the Gibeonites came from far, and now my toddler is about to crash this video, so please bear with me. Boo boo, boo boo, mommy, don't touch this, please, thank you, please, mommy's live. Oh God, please, can you come and catch this boy? He's going to come and say hello now. That's my toddler right there. Hey. Okay, thankfully he's eating a sausage, so he doesn't have my time. All right, so they came in looking old, worn out, like travelers from maybe they traveled for 3 months. They're trying to give that impression, you know. And they said, look, we've heard of what you did to all these other people around here. We just came to make a treaty with you. We don't want to fight. We don't have the ability to fight with you guys. And so please just make a treaty with us. So Israel goes into a treaty with them. And they committed another grave mistake. They didn't. Oh, you're from Lagos. Interesting. Thank you for joining me today. Most of the time, I get people from Korea, China, the US, wherever, but hardly anyone from Lagos. Hardly anyone who joins me live from Lagos. So thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I hope you enjoy my podcast on reading the entire Bible from cover to cover. So today is day 104, and we have 261 days to go. The Bible in 1 year. Reading through the Bible in 1 year. That's what my podcast is about. I'm an architect, and I have like a regular job, what I do, but this is me expressing my faith and just sharing my faith with people, encouraging people to go read the Bible for themselves as opposed to getting third-hand information about the Bible when you can just check it out yourself. So that's why this is about. So my idea is that if I share anything you find contrary, go check it for yourself. Okay? I'm not a pastor. I'm not in the clergy. I'm just an ordinary person who just wants to share my faith with an audience so that they can hold me accountable. That's what this channel is about. Thank you for joining me. All right, so let me quickly do this. I'm reading the Old Testament and the New Testament, a psalm and a proverb every single day. All right, so the people came from Gibeon. Thank you, thank you. The people came from Gibeon, and they pretended to be old saddlebags, and look worn out, so that they could go into a treaty with Israel. Israel ought to have asked God, which is surprising because even though this is a mistake Moses would never have made, but Joshua has made it twice. And you know, when growing up, I used to hear things like Joshua never missed a step, Joshua never made a mistake, and all stuff like that. But I'm already seeing it. Why? Because I'm reading the Bible for myself. I can see the mistakes that Joshua is making. So they went to Ai without consulting. Was it Ai? Anyway, they got into a treaty without asking God again, without asking God. And 3 days later, they found out that they had been tricked. The people live not too far away, just 3 days away. I don't know how in Nigeria, in the world of today, 3 days away is the end of the world. I'm so glad I wasn't born in that era. They live just 3 days away. So they were like, why did you guys trick us? Why did you lie to us? And then they were like, oh, we're so sorry. We heard that you guys were killing everybody, all the kings and everything. So we didn't want to get into trouble with you guys. So we lied. So they're like, we're not going to be friends with you guys. You're going to be our water carriers and wood cutters. You're going to serve us as servants. And they're like, we agree. We agree. You know? So I wrote here, 3 days later, they discovered they came from a city they were supposed to sack and occupy. Chai. That's a chai is a way of saying, oh gosh, in Nigerian local parlance. All right. So they did, why did you lie to us? You guys are cursed. So Joshua got angry. Anyway, so another king called King Adoni-Zedek heard that Gibeon, a big town, bigger than Ai, with strong warriors, had yielded to the Israelites. So he got angry and he invited other kings nearby to to fight with the people of Gibeon and sack their own city. But the Gibeonites now sent for Joshua. Oh, please come and help us. These guys are about to kill us. And Joshua did so and rallied it. So I don't know. I think that Joshua should have asked. Because in fact, I wrote here in my notes that when they went into treaty with the Gibeonites, they didn't ask. And then the second time, when the Gibeonites sent for them, oh, please come and help us, they didn't ask again. There was no record that Joshua said, God, should I go and help the Gibeonites? He just got to war and went all night. And went all night at it. Anyway, God gave them victory because they ended up fighting those 5 kings they had ganged up to attack the Gibeonites for making a peace treaty with Israel. And then they also they also they also conquered the entire southern region. Let me tell you how that happened. So when they had finished fighting with the kings, they locked up. So the kings went to hide in a cave. Those 5 kings, they now threw like rocks outside the cave and continued to fight with their armies until they had defeated their armies. Then they brought the kings out, and then Joshua asked his commanders to put their feet on his neck. Now, all of these things are very distasteful to me, right? But I guess for people who are in the army or people who are people of war, they would find these things relatable. So Joshua said, and then anyway, they were killed, the kings were killed and impaled till evening. Then they were thrown into that cave where they were hiding, and stones were put over the cave. So more or less they were buried. They were buried there. So they remained in that cave where they chose to hide. And so after that, several other southern regions in that area were captured and conquered by Joshua and his army. There were Makeda, Libna, Lachish, Gezer, Eglon, Debir, the whole region actually, of the Negev, the western foothills. They conquered everything, and God gave them victory, and then they returned back to Gilgal where they had originally settled. So that's our Old Testament reading for today. Our New Testament reading talks about Lazarus and the rich man. Another famous story. We've heard about Lazarus and the rich man. So it's Luke 16:19 to 17:10. Jesus was telling a story about a poor man called Lazarus, who was so poor and he had all these injuries. He was basically like a homeless person who used to sit outside the gate of a very wealthy man. And every single time that wealthy man would pass by and see Lazarus and not pay him any attention, Lazarus was covered with sores, and dogs would come and lick his sores. Anyway, I guess he died from all that infection. So he died and was taken to Abraham's bosom. Famous Abraham. The rich man also died, but he didn't get to Abraham's bosom. He got to some place of torment where dead people were. And then from there, he could sight Lazarus and Abraham. And it's like, Abraham, tell Lazarus to please give me some water. I'm so thirsty. And Abraham was like, oh, Lazarus can't help you from here. There's a very big gulf dividing us. We can't cross over. You can't cross, and we can't come to you. So he's like, oh gosh, please can you send someone to my 5 brothers, so they don't end up here in hell where I am. I'm in anguish, I'm in flames. So Abraham was like, we can't do that. Actually, no, please send someone from the dead. Please, you need to go and warn my brothers. And Abraham is like, we can't do that because there are already people who are warning your brothers. There are prophets there. There are people who are teaching them the things they need to know. They're not going to warn your brothers. Your brothers are not going to listen if they don't want to listen. He's like, if someone from the dead comes, they definitely will listen. Just send Lazarus. Lazarus has died. If Lazarus just shows up again, they will listen. He's like, no, they won't listen to Lazarus, even if Lazarus comes back from the dead. Which is very instructive because I know myself. I have people, I'm skeptical about all these stories of I went to the dead and I came back. I saw angels, I saw heaven, I came back. I don't believe them, many of them. So I feel like that's how many people take these things. They don't believe them, So if they don't believe, that means they won't do their work. Some people will believe, but I don't think they even believe for the right reasons. So because of that, don't bother asking for someone who has died to come and instruct anyone. God doesn't work that way. This is God talking to us, telling us that's not how we work, okay? So because I have been encountering some challenges where I've been told that my dad is sending me messages and stuff, and I'm like, I have to find a scripture that counters this action. My dad is gone long. My dad passed on a year and a half ago, not quite 2 years. And yes, once in a while, because I'm thinking about him, I may dream about him. I may feel like he's sending me, but not. He doesn't become the Holy Spirit, right? Giving me instructions from the place of the dead. God is already speaking to us here. So that's what I want to comment on, because it's a situation happening in my life. There's somebody who kind of like thinks that he's now the mouthpiece for my dead dad, and he keeps saying your dad said. I'm like, I have to counter this. Do you believe that people, when they say they've been to heaven, or I let me be honest, Faith, I struggle to believe it, really. I just said that. I'm sure the network didn't let you hear it. I struggle to believe it. I know that there might be one or two cases where there's a something has happened that is a lesson for us who are alive. But when people say, "Oh, I came back from the dead, I saw angels, I saw this, I saw that," let that be your lesson, because there's no proof that what you're saying is true, you know. So I struggle to believe it. I prefer to just take what is written in the Bible. Okay, so Abraham is telling um, the rich man that even if someone came from the dead, people will not believe him. God doesn't send people like that. So this is like my own. This is my conviction. I'm leaning on this scripture to be my conviction that, look, people from the dead are not the ones who are supposed to be giving us instructions about how to live. How God has told us to live is captured in the Bible, and we get ideas, revelations, and infer from what is written here how to live. Okay, that's what I think, Faith, honestly. Thank you for asking that question. All right, so Abraham says, no, sir. If they won't listen to Moses and the prophets, they definitely won't listen if someone comes back from the dead. Then Jesus in chapter 17, we enter chapter 17, is still talking about, I don't even know what he's addressed. I can't remember if there's any ties to the last story. But he says there'll always be temptations to sin, but sorrow will await the person who tempts people. So bad things happen. You be careful not to be the carrier of the bad things, because sorrow awaits the person who becomes the person who is tempting people, who is struggling, who does bad things. And I think he's saying this because he is going to be betrayed by Judas Iscariot. He's saying, "Look, Judas, I'm gonna I've come here to be crucified, to die for the sins of humanity. But you, on the other hand, it's too bad that you are. This is me adding my own. Oh. You, on the other hand, it's too bad that you are allowing yourself to be used by the devil. These things can happen some other way. So woe to the person who chooses to be an agent of temptation and pain to other people." So if someone is an agent of temptation and pain, then what do we do about it, Jesus? So Jesus says, um, so he says it's better that you were drowned than to be someone who is used by the enemy to tempt other people. Okay? So if someone has sins against us, how do we forgive? So Jesus is like, if someone upsets you, you have to forgive up to 7 times. 7 times. Even if it's in a day, you must forgive up to 7 times. So long as they ask you to forgive, you must forgive. How can we increase our faith then? Because this thing you're saying is so tough, Jesus. I'm just confused. You're saying we should forgive 7 times. I think we need a lot of faith to do that. So how do we increase our faith? So Jesus says, if your faith was as tiny as a mustard seed is a very tiny seed. You'd be able to say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and cast into the sea, and the mulberry tree will get up and be uprooted. If your faith is even as tiny as that, you can you can say be uprooted and cast into the sea, and it will obey you. A servant a servant. So this portion, this last scripture, I have no idea where it came from and why it is there. A servant isn't invited to eat just because he was plowing sheep and working. So it starts with, if a man comes in and his servant is working, and he doesn't say, "Oh, servants, have been working, come and sit with me and eat." He says, "Oh, please put on an apron and get my food ready. I'm ready to eat, and then you can eat afterwards." Why doesn't he say that? Why doesn't he say thank you? Because it's your job. So he's saying that perhaps he's criticizing his disciples. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that was not narrated here. He's saying it's his job. So that's how you should be when you obey me, obey God. You shouldn't be saying, "God, I obeyed you. You're supposed to thank me and heal me." Do it because it's your duty. Okay? Servants, we are just, and when you obey God, say something like this: "We are unworthy servants who have simply done our duty." And that's our Old New Testament reading from today. Our book of Proverbs, we're looking at Proverbs 13:4. It says, "Lazy people want much but get little, but those who work hard will prosper. So that's our Proverbs today. I like to read the book of Psalms directly. So I'm just going to open the book of Psalm 83, verses 1 to 18. Psalm 83, verses 1 to 18. I'll read it in a minute. I'll read it. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad I'm enjoying the conversation going. So please subscribe to my channel, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. Okay. Psalm 83. Okay, prayer to frustrate conspiracy. All right. Do not keep silent, O God. Do not hold your peace, and do not be still, O God. For behold, your enemies make a tumult, and those who hate you have lifted up their heads. They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted together against the sheltered ones. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off for being a nation, that name of Israel may be remembered no more." So this is what happened in the story of the Old Testament we just read. People were saying this about Israel, but this psalm was written maybe 500 years later. I don't know. For they consulted, chapters 5, verse 5, they consulted together with one consent. They formed a confederacy against you. The tents of Edom and Ishmaelites, Moab and the Hagrites, Hegal, Ammon and Amalek, Philistia with all the inhabitants of Tyre, Assyria, have also joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Deal with them as with Midian, as with Sisera, as with Jabin at the brook Kishon, who perished at Endor, who became as refuse on the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yes, their princes like Ziba and Zalmunna, who said, "Let us take for ourselves a pastures of God for a possession." O God, my God, make them like the whirling dust, like the chaff before the wind. As the water burns the woods, as the flames set mountains on fire, so pursue them with your tempest, frighten them with your storm, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek your name, O God. Let them be confounded and dismayed forever. Yes, let them be put to shame and perish, that they may know you, whose name alone is Lord, and are most high over all the earth. So, thank you, Faith. Thank you, Faith. So that's our reading for today. Thank you, Faith, for joining me. I'm glad to see you. I hope I see you again. So you subscribe. Please turn on the notification button. The reason is because I don't always go live at the same time, mostly because of the network. Sometimes the network acts up when I'm about to go live, so or maybe I started the day too early, or and then I do it in the evening. But thank you for subscribing, Faith. I hope to see you again. If you're joining me now, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on the notification button so I'll see you tomorrow. My name is Ochido Aye, and this is the Bible in 1 year.